Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. Hello and welcome to the world that is too fucked up to parody anymore, because the Republicans are literally the party of puppy murder and beating disabled children.
I saw the Kristi Noem shit, and I did a video on it basically going, you have a billion better options.
Well, we're going to rehash all that because it happened the day after I decided not to stream, or no, it happened the day after we streamed last, and then I couldn't stream last week, and apparently you wouldn't have streamed either because it was your anniversary.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm like, I can't not talk about the puppy murder.
Yeah, it kind of pisses me off.
It does.
Just a little bit.
It does piss me off, but it's like, you can't parody it anymore. Reality is just too crazy. It's like,
please, Rhino, vote for me. I would willingly shoot my own family member for acting a bit uppity.
This is literally the kinds of things that we've been saying as a exaggerated joke. Like, oh yeah, vote for Republicans. They're the party of puppy murder. Oh, well, they actually are now. Yeah, yay. So that is our first story, so we are going to talk more in depth than that, but
the power
I just thought that was a good open for the show. So on to puppy murder. Yay.
I don't like that sentence.
So yeah, Kristi Noem somehow made her puppy killing scandal worse. I don't really want to read the whole article because what the fuck ever, we all know about this by now, but like, I just want to say, like, the way she described it.
Oh,
Stop. You're not supposed to make me laugh while I'm talking about puppy murder.
the way she described it. Yeah, no, that is certainly as bad as.
Yeah, so we don't need to read the story. We kind of know it, but like, one of the things that really struck me that I haven't really seen people pick up on is that the way she described the dog on the hunt, it sounded like it just had the zoomies. It was just a dog that had the zoomies, because like she used the word joyful and is running around and just like making a lot of noise and like scaring the birds out and whatever. But it's like it's a dog that had the zoomies. Like, I have a dog, it gets the zoomies. It's freaking hilarious when she gets the zoomies. But Kristi Noem, because she was hunting, was like, oh, well, dog got the zoomies, that scared all the birds away, so now that dog ruined my hunt, is essentially what I got out of this. And then, so with regards to killing the chickens, there was a gate that was supposed to be shut that was left open. And that's how the dog got into the chicken coop. So like, that's not the dog's fault. It's a bird dog. It is trained, like,
you trained it.
She was trying to train it to be a bird dog. So like, she's encouraging it to kill birds. So it gets into this coop with a bunch of birds and it's like, oh, I'm going to kill some birds because that's what my master wants me to do, because that's what they're trying to train me to do. So it's just a happy puppy that had the zoomies and was doing what its master taught it to do. And she said she fucking hates it and shot it in the face with a shotgun, which I hope it died quickly, because like, the way she described it made it sound like this was done in anger on the way home from the bird hunt. So if that was the shotgun she took on the hunt, it probably had bird shot in it, which is not great for clean execution.
No, it's not. That's...
Yeah. So, so literally a puppy murder. She followed that up by talking about how she also killed a goat. And the reasons she gave for killing the goat was because like it peed all over itself and was disgusting and gross. But if you know anything about goats,
goat did what it always does. Wait, so it was a male goat.
Yeah, it was a male goat that had not been castrated. So
that's what male goats do.
Yeah, it was a male goat being a male goat. So it's like, if you don't know that that's what male goats do, then you probably shouldn't be owning goats. Like, yeah, I feel like that's pretty uncontroversial. Like, you don't need to kill the goat because you're an idiot. If Fennec's like, male goats do that? Yeah, it's part of their mating thing.
Yeah, so it's like how male peacocks, do the feather spread to let women know, hey, I'm ready for the sex.
Oh, and also how giraffes will, the male giraffe will perform oral sex on the female giraffe until she pees in his mouth.
Yep, it's a way to let them know they're DTF.
Yeah. And my kids were at a farm for a birthday party and they had goats. And one of the kids said, I want a goat. And I just kind of offhandedly been like, oh, goats pee all over themselves. And the person who runs the farm, like, just kind of overheard that. And he was like, yeah, no, you don't want, no, they're gross. They're just got like, no. So, it's a well-known thing that goats do.
Yeah.
But this rancher apparently didn't know that that's what they do.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, no, so my parents raised goats and I helped take care of said goats. And the number one thing is, one, you have to make sure that the goats have other goats around them. They're a very social creature.
Mhm.
If they don't, then that's bad. That also means that if you have goats and they are pissing on themselves, there's going to be more piss. Also, they cannot potty train. So
Nope.
if you're in the goat pen, guess what it's going to look like and smell like? It's going to be a literal pile of shit. To give an example, the barn, well, not barn, but the goat houses that were made for these goats, the flooring had to be replaced because the shit would literally start to disintegrate the flooring.
So they've got acid shit.
That's goats. That's having goats. They're adorable. They are basically big dumb dogs.
I'm just picturing. I'm picturing a tagline for like owning goats now. Is it's like goats. They piss everywhere and they shit acid.
Yeah. At their core, goats are like us. They just want to get that mineral.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So there was
all that to say. Goats are still great.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she tried to walk it back a little bit. Like, I mean, she doubled and tripled down on it, but like she walked it back a little bit by like saying in subsequent interviews that the dog had a biting problem and it was attacking people and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, first off,
in the fucking book.
Yeah, it's like, first off, the solution to that is rehoming. It's not shoot it with birdshot. And secondly, if it actually had, like, because the closest she came to describing the dog as biting in the earliest iterations of the story were that it turned around to bite her. Didn't turn around and bit her. It turned around in a way that made her think it had the intention of biting her, but it didn't. And that
How did you read the dog's mind?
Yeah, and that, well, I mean, you can tell when a dog's after you to bite, sort of. But I mean, even then, though, I have a dog. Sometimes it bites in play, and it can look aggressive when it's doing that. So, given the other description where it has the zoomies and is just excited doing the thing that it was trained to do, it might have just been overexcited and playing.
You overstimulated your dog, and then you got mad that it acted overstimulated.
Yeah. So anyway, there's that. She tried to make it sound better by being like, oh, this is just a thing that happens on farms. I also killed 3 horses the other week. I saw this really long tweet thread from a guy who is a rancher and owns a ranch and talks about this.
Whoa. Fucking dick.
Rosina is saying, Google handsome goat. I don't want to do that while I'm on stream. Thank you very much. Is handsome goat related to goat C?
I don't know, and I don't think I want to know.
I don't want to know it. Not on stream.
I think I'm smart enough and brave enough to know not to do that.
Yeah. So she, so the thread that this rancher put together when he got to the horse part, he thought it was very suspicious that 3 horses would need euthanasia at the exact same time, because that is incredibly unlikely. Generally, like, the reasons for euthanasia are such that like a horse, like your herd of horses only one at a time would get to that stage. It's not like a communal thing. But now if you have 2 horses that are very, very emotionally bonded to each other, it could be appropriate to put down the second horse with the first horse, just because there is like history of like the horse will literally starve itself to death in grief. So out of mercy for losing their partner or whatever, that might be an appropriate thing to do, depending on the circumstances. That's something that has to be taken on the case-by-case basis. But 3 would be very much no. You wouldn't need to do 3 at the same time. ever. So the fact that she was doing that is like, there's something else fishy going on here. But yeah, and the thing that they say made it worse is we get down here. They were talking about Joe Biden's service dog. It's attacked 24 Secret Service people. It's gotten to the point where Commander is no longer allowed in the White House. He's off on his own or whatever. Notably, Joe Biden didn't kill him. He just put him somewhere where he wasn't going to bite people, because that's an option when you have a bitey dog. Now, yeah, should it have gotten to the point where it was? Should it have gotten to the point where it was 24 Secret Service people? Commander bit a bunch of Secret Service people. Whether it should have been allowed to get to the point where he bit 24 of them, like, that seems a bit excessive. Maybe something should have been done before that. I don't know. Whatever. Point is, he was rehomed. Yeah, I don't know if he was given to someone else, but like, Joe Biden still owns him, but he's like living somewhere else where he's not going to bite a bunch of people, because that's an option. Especially for people that have money, like she does.
Yeah, it's not like you're sitting there trying to go shelter to shelter and nobody's taking them, because so like in Georgia, they have a rule where, and this is like post-COVID, where certain shelters will not take cats as an example, because they'll go, no, we can't take cats that people have had. We can only take in ferals where there was no other choice. Like, that's a rule that they've started implementing here.
Jess is part of the Scrub Daddy supremacy cult. So is my partner.
So yeah, I know I am. What about it?
I was talking about my other partner.
Okay, I have 3 Scrub Daddies, and they're wonderful.
So anyway, Commander was rehomed and put somewhere where he's not going to bite people anymore. To which Chrissy Gnome says, so how many people is enough people to be attacked and dangerously hurt before you make a decision on a dog and what to do with it? Well, apparently 24. And the decision was, put it somewhere where it's not going to bite people. The question the president should be held accountable to. It's like, no, yeah, she's just saying like, oh no, it's trouble. It's difficult to, this is a difficult problem. So instead of dealing with it in the appropriate way that's going to be the best outcome for everybody, I'm just going to take the easy way out and make the problem disappear through violence. And she thinks that makes her look good.
Isn't it funny how everybody who's ever made that kind of decision tries to claim it as like, I made the hard choice?
Was it the hard choice when you openly admit that you hated the dog? It's like, it was the hard choice to make my life more convenient by not having this difficult dog around. That's not a hard choice. That's the lazy choice.
Like, how many options did you expend first before birdshot to dog was the option you chose?
Last thing on this article that I want to touch on is this thing here. When contemplating what she would do if she were to become president, no, this was just a hypothetical. She knows she's not going to be president in November, or January, I guess. It says, contemplating what she would do as her first active president, she wrote, the first thing I'd do is make sure Joe Biden's dog is nowhere on the grounds. Commander, say hello to Cricket for me. Cricket was the name of her dog. So literally she's saying her first official act as president would be to execute the former president's dog. What?
I feel like, so I'm going to say something that could get both of our channels taken down at once. But if you are the type of person to say that, as somebody who has 2 dogs, my first thought is, boy, what would I do if somebody told me they were going to kill my dog? And there's a .44 caliber solution to that already that's inside my closet.
Cyrus, I might actually have a solution for you that is in keeping with the Republican viewpoint? Worldview. That's the word I'm looking for.
So mine is too. It's solution by gun.
Okay. So, forget the gun for a second. Remember how I opened with like they are now literally the party of child, like, abusing disabled children and puppy murder.
Yeah. So
the other news item that we're not going to really be covering is the in Oklahoma, there's a bill on the table right now for, well, it hasn't been tabled, it is under consideration, that would make it illegal to beat children, including disabled children. You can't beat disabled children either. And there was a Republican who got, now, to be fair, it was a Republican that introduced the bill saying we probably shouldn't be beating children anymore. Specifically school teachers beating children. And then there was a Republican who got up and was like, No, man. Of course we got to beat people. Just because they're disabled doesn't mean we can't beat them anymore.
What?
Yeah, no, he got up and he tried to defend. What? He tried to defend beating disabled children because if and his exact words, well, okay, this won't be his exact words, but close to his exact words were that you need that motivation. Like that, like beating is a motivation to behave. It's a disciplinary
beatings
tool.
Will continue until morale improves.
Yeah, basically. That was literally his argument. Of course, backed up by the Bible, because spare the rod, spoil the child, and all that, whatever.
You know, the Bible says spare the rod, spoil the child. Well, we're not a Christian nation, so shut the fuck up, Bob.
But so what I got from here is that if someone is behaving in a way that you deem inappropriate, the way that you issue corrective action is by physically beating them. That is what the GOP is advocating for.
Well, I think the GOP.
So
I think they are acting in a way that I think is inappropriate. Like
seriously, if you think hitting a child like this was like we're not talking like just like a little swat to the bum, which is also inappropriate, just for the record. Like they explicitly had in the bill is like, no, we're going to outlaw like paddling and shit like that. If you just imagine if you went into work, if you're a manager at work, one of your employees is being difficult, and your response to that was to bust out a paddle and start whapping them with it until they do their job properly. Like, no, we recognize that is inappropriate in every area of our lives, except when dealing with the most vulnerable population we have access to, apparently.
Then we just start beating them.
Yeah. So
constantly.
So given that they think inappropriate behavior is correctable through physical violence, to me that says that they are saying, "Hey, if you disagree with me, come beat me up about it." That's what I'm hearing when they say that.
Okay. I guess we have to do that then.
So I'm just following what they're telling me to do. I'm not advocating for it myself. I'm just telling you what they're advocating for.
It's very different, you see.
Yeah, very different. Moderation bots. That's enough puppy murder and disabled child beating. And like, my God, they specified what disabilities in the bill, and it was stuff like being blind, deaf, autistic, unable to read.
Man, your tism's real problematic. We're gonna beat you.
Imagine like you got a nonverbal autistic kid who can't deal with anything, just having an autistic meltdown, which is something that they like. An autistic meltdown is something you kind of got to let it play out, but like to respond to that with physical abuse, like, no, fuck you.
For every make sure
you got to make sure they're somewhere safe where they know that they're safe.
Yeah.
And you just let it run its course. That's the way you deal with the autistic meltdown. You don't do physical abuse, because you don't do physical abuse to deal with anything. So that's just stupid.
Remember, if you are a parent and a politician is saying that they really need people who are not even you, like teachers, to be allowed to beat your child, if you are okay with that, that's maybe a bit of an issue.
So
maybe just a slight red flag.
I said we were going to move on from this, but one more thing that you just reminded me of. Another point that he made was that making it illegal for teachers to beat kids would somehow magically take parental rights away. It's like, we're telling the parents that they can't have the teachers beat the kids on their behalf. It's like, no, that's not how parental rights work.
Why do we need beatings on your behalf? Why is that a sentence that we need?
It's not. Hopefully it passes this time, because this is a bill that's been it's been brought up in Oklahoma several times, and it's always failed. So hopefully it passes this time, because it's actually passed the Senate. We're just waiting on the House. Last I checked, we were waiting on, well, as far as I can tell, we're waiting on the House, but I don't know what all the there are these weird terms in American legislative shit that don't mean the same thing that they mean in everyday speak. So I think it's still just waiting on the House vote, but it's hard for me to tell because I'm not legal scholar enough to parse out the bill tracking websites.
You're not legal scholar enough? Oh, okay. I see. There's a little bit of a
Okay.
legal scholar in there, but it's not quite enough for this.
It's whatever grade of legal scholar you acquire by listening to one single legal podcast,
Yes.
which is to say not much. Okay. So I forgot, going back to the puppies again. I'm sorry to go back to the
Do
murder
we
and
have to
puppies.
go back to the fucking puppies?
We do have to go back to the puppies. You know why?
Why?
Because in between her doing the interviews and the excerpt from the book coming out, the actual book came out, and there are reviews. Would you like to read some of the reviews, Cyrus?
I saw some of them, but you know what? I feel like I should see more.
Well, a lot of them were deleted, so I only have 3. Because like in American Amazon, you can't even review this book. In Canadian one, you can. In Soviet Canada, book reviews you.
Why can't you review the book in the United States?
Because too many people were doing what these reviewers are doing.
Giving their honest opinion about dog killing?
Yeah, so Amazon was like, no, this is clearly being targeted, so we're going to crush the reviews or whatever. But yeah, so this person says, this is truly the worst purchase ever. Page after page, the smears, the paper cuts, truly one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life, and I once had to use a pine cone. The book itself is just full of lies and sadistic behavior. So yeah, using it as toilet paper. Next we have, my cat loved this book. He says Cricket was asking for it.
Oh, I saw that one.
I love this one. The last one is my favorite, though. KGem says, one of the better DIY books out there. 5 stars. We have always struggled with high vet bills. Christie has shown us a way forward in a much more economic way. Our only challenge remaining is that we still have a soul that keeps us from acting. Thanks for inspiring us, Christie.
Jesus Christ. The very well-deserved shade.
Yeah. So yeah, that's those are the reviews from the book.